cleared their first GI, first GI1, and that feels good. And so, big congratulations on that first. It's a big feat. And but yeah, again, GI2 is where you have to make through the cut because you usually the interviews go very well, but then you don't know what goes wrong and you're not selected. That happens. That has happened. So it's crucial, and also this time it's offline. So I think it's going to be a little different from what we have experienced. Right, Ami?
Yes. Also, I think in our case, GI1 and GI2, at least for me, was on the same day. So the drill used to finish within a day. And, right after GI1, they used to inform that you will have your GIs within like 2 or 3 hours max. So that was a bit better. I think the wait is always, at least for me, I always get anxious about the wait and then what is going to be asked and how it is going to be. So that makes me a little nervous, if not anxious.
But what does GI2 consist of? Like situation-based questions, current affairs, graduation, work ex, like any specific thing that we should focus on?
Okay, I'll take this first and then maybe Santika can add on to it. So largely if you ask me, I don't find anything differentiating. You will have to go through the same round of preparations, just that maybe this time they'll try to know you better, rather than asking you all those very nitty-gritty questions of ACADS and stuff. They'll also focus on how good a manager you will be based on your ethical judgment, or what will you do in a situation and all of those kind of questions. But yes, largely the preparation would be same. I mean, having said that, only ethical questions would be asked or something. You can't neglect your academics or your work ex or all of these part. The situations would revolve around those things.
To add on to what Ami said, I think uh, for me it was mostly they try to know you as a person, and they don't strain you on the levels of manager or how good a student you are, because all of that is taken care by your CV, your first interview. It's taken care. They want to see what you've written in the form and what you actually are. Are they coherent? So how honest are you with yourself? I think that is one of the major things, because uh, they want people with a lot of quality, and they check for that. Second thing is, they as far as your preparation is concerned, your current affairs and your general knowledge has to be updated every single day. I think that should be your daily routine now, and that is because when you are in a group discussion, when you're discussing points, it's always better to give real life examples. It's always better to give some data points which makes your point quantitatively valid and not just qualitatively. So gives you an edge over others, gives you a different perspective. And it's also about being unique. Your answers being a bit unique. Don't just say the same thing that the cohort says. So if you prepare well, you'll obviously have some examples, some real life stories. So I think preparation wise, I don't think there is any difference. Obviously, they'll not ask you what is a pump or what is a heat exchanger, but yeah, questions, they could just ask you about how you dealt with a particular situation. And that could be, suppose you're working in a plant, how do you deal with a breakdown? So over there, you should know what all entails in that plant. But having said that, that is not the only thing. You should talk about the things you faced personally as a team member. So you have to talk from the perspective of different stakeholders involved in that particular situation. So, and that requires some kind of vision, some kind of thought process. So I think that is how GI1 and GI2 are different.
Yes, I think Santika largely informed you guys that, what is GI2. And the agenda for the call was the same, that we'll try to understand what is GI2 first, what all experiences we had, and maybe we'll share our own experience, what was mine, and then I will share hers as well. And then we'll try to understand your queries or anything that we have. I also have few situations in mind which I will try to give you guys, and we can have a live mock GI2 kind of thing. And yes, we'll go about it. You want to add something, Santika?
Nothing as such, and I think I would like to take some questions from them because I've received a lot of questions personally,
Yeah.
and I think this platform is where you can ask your questions and that will help others as well. So shoot your questions, please.
Yes. So GI2 is largely like Santika mentioned. They are trying to know you as a person. They are trying to know that how good a fit can be, if you are part of that college, if you are part of an organization, and something like that. And when asked about ethical, I mean, you all have your academics and work experience sorted, given that you're already preparing it for the other interviews. The unique part that comes here is the ethical interviews, wherein they ask you a situation. Situation can be something like, an example: a friend of yours is caught cheating in a college, and you are given an option whether you'll be able to help him out, or will you go to admin and help. What can be the next step? And what professor tries to do is he tries to add on situation by situation, giving you different layers, and they try to check where will you give up. Ideally, at times they try to check, how is your ethic. For example, I had this in a lot of my mock GIs that I've taken with people. And people tend to bend ki if the cheating is small, cheating done at a smaller scale is okay. I mean, उसको एक बार punishment दे के जाने दे सकते हैं, but cheating when done at a larger scale has to be treated seriously. Ideally, that's not the case, right? I mean, not for me. And again, ethical answers can be different for each of you. For an example, I have seen people saying कि दोस्ती के लिए तो अरे जान दे देंगे. So friendships can be a major factor for few of us, and at the same time, academics can be a major factor for. So the professor is not going to come and tell you that hey, this is wrong, and you are not an ethical person. Like I mentioned, ethics can be different for different people at times. But what holds true is Indian law and admin law. Nothing goes above and beyond that. So if I am given a situation and if I am told to answer, I'll ensure that if India mein wo cheez ho rahi hai, then Indian law holds true for anything and everything. If you are, let's say, if there is a legal age for doing something, a legal age of marriage, a legal age of drinking, or anything of that sort, then that holds true. So if you are in that state, if you're in Gujarat or whatever, the law holds true, and don't answer which is beyond this law. Similarly, for your college admin, ki if SPJIMR or any of these colleges is telling you that this holds true, then the admin law holds true, and hence the major ethical situations are answered beyond this. Apart from that, when you're asked your own questions like what will you choose if you are asked, your friend is asking you for a project assignment and you have very a low amount of time to submit, and you have to submit it and you have to help him out, what will you do? These are the situations that they often ask, and they try to gauge that what are you thinking and on how are you thinking, on what steps, and then they roam around the group and do it. Yes, Antika, you can add.
Yeah, to add on to what Ami said, I think this is something they ask at the college level. And to add on to this, they ask questions like, do you think, so they'll quote any famous, philosophy, people who in philosophy or academia, economics, and they'll say, do you think social responsibility can be taken care with the profits that that a particular company makes? How important is profit? How important is triple bottom line? Do you think it's easy to say that let's start a sustainable business than to actually sustain a sustainable business? So these are topics which are very, very, they're very much in discussion in every MBA college, and they like to take those questions and ask you, just to get a hint of how you think, just to understand, would you be a good fit in the class? Would you bring about something different in the class? So I think just read about all of these things and try and understand where your line of thought intersects to all of these points. And secondly, it's very important, I mean, to read the newspaper, because if you read the editorials, there are a lot of things, especially the editorial page, a lot of things are covered. It could be education, it could be whatever is happening around. So this Adani thing, all of these, they can ask you questions on that as well. They will not ask you, "Okay, what is happening in this Adani situation." They will not ask you like that. They'll give you a line, and you can bring about these as examples. So I think I just had to add that.
So, to summarize, it's no more about just a news. They'll not ask you ki, what is happening in budget, or what did budget say. They're asking you your opinions. So when you're reading something, or even if you're forming an opinion, learn to back it. That okay, these were the things you read, and now you thought so. I remember for my interview, what happened was there was this hijab protest going on at that time, and they asked me a lot of questions based on that. Similarly, if your my profile had something where I did something previously with TEDx, and I had organized one event, so something related to that. Somewhere they asked me about Twitter and cancel culture. So all these things which are going on, largely which has this angle of whether they are socially right, or whether they should be allowed in the country. Somewhere can be, I don't think war is anymore a famous topic, but yes, Russia Ukraine war remains to be one. So anything of that sort, or if your profile has something unique, learn to be they will definitely be questioned. Second point to keep in mind is learn to listen. For a GI, very important skill, and something that cannot be ignored is whether you are listening. You will not be asked, and if you say ki, you did not listen, or in offline, this even becomes a major issue. Online, maybe we could give this excuse that there was this network error or anything, and you couldn't listen the question. But in offline, learn to be attentive and remember what the other person are saying, what are their opinions, because you will have to remember, and then you might be asked on the counter question can be, hey, your friend is thinking like this, what is your take on it? So you can't just zone out for a moment also and think that I can come back and just add on to the point. It's
Agreed.
not a GD.
Agreed. And your body language, especially in offline mode, becomes very important. I mean, don't look loose or don't look stiff. I mean, these are very, very nuanced things that I'm talking about. And I mean, it's very important to show that humility, that confidence, yet not look overconfident. So you have to maintain that balance a lot. You're not supposed to be just doing this, looking at this. I mean, you have to be very focused. That's very important. And SPGMR, like from my personal experience being in this college for the last 8 months, I feel professors and everyone, uh, they respect your opinion, they respect your point, they respect you as a person. But if you're not humble, they are not very receptive. If you're not humble, so you have to be very, very cautious of that fact. And by humble, I don't mean कि yes sir, एकदम पैर में नहीं पड़ जाना.
Mm.
मतलब बैलेंस रखो हर चीज का. That is more important. And अभी तो I think you guys also have your WATs, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So be prepared for any abstract kind of topic. I don't know what Ami got, but I think I got my topic was the mythological character to whom you relate the most. So at that, and I am not a person who reads too much of mythology. It was very difficult for me to write something in 20 minutes, but I just wrote something. And there was one more question. Actually, there was an issue, technical issue. So the first question that they gave was the most underrated department of any organization. So these were the two topics, and I think my GI2 was very, it was very nice. I mean, I felt very good after having that conversation. It was very therapeutic for some reason. So they asked me about how I was feeling, how I would introduce myself in a blind date, what are my favorite movies, and they gave me a small puzzle like if you're stranded on an island with a day's food and mm, and you have two books of your choice, what would you do? So these were the kind of questions that I was asked, and I think what they were checking was how transparent I was with my form. I think that was the major thing that they checked, and they were ticking all. So I'm sure you have written those 10 random things, right? So they're not very random when it comes from an interviewer's point of view. So please be very thorough about all that. If you've written something, you should actually be that person. So I've seen many forms of you guys, and I think Ishan wrote about kadhai paneer or something. So just read things. If it's about cooking, then read about cooking. Just read things about what you've written. They're not that random, trust me.
I
I
think
have
I
written
agree
about,
with what Santika said. Sorry, Amol, you were saying something.
yeah, like I have written about, I have a fear of snakes. So, like, what can I be asked on such topics?
So you can be asked anything actually. Just so every fear has a particular name, right? Some
Mhm.
so maybe read about that, and they might ask you like, uh, have you seen a snake in your real life? Where do you find snakes, in which sanctuaries do you find snake in India? I mean, they could go that way. So I had a mock interview where I think I had written about coffee, and I was asked about the different types of coffees, where they are grown, what is the process, where in the world. This was a mock GI, I'm saying. In world, how much percentage of coffee plantations contribute this, that, my god. So again, so just read about it. They will not ask, but just be prepared. My point is to be prepared, that's it.
Okay.
Yes. I think what Santika here is largely trying to say is कि जो लिखा है वो पढ़ लो at least. Whatever you have written, if even if you are not that person, you shouldn't be going there and knowing that you have written kadhai paneer in your form. You should be knowing it beforehand that you've written something like that. It's okay if you are asked something which is like Amal mentioned, that if you are asked, what type of fear it is or something, but you should definitely know why do you have that fear for that matter. I remember my thing because I wrote, I'm fascinated by snakes. I wrote it complete opposite, which I honestly am. And so I know types, I have seen it right from zoo, and I love watching them, to be honest. Started from Bear Grylls days, but it has still continued. So something like that. So you can always be asked. You're not expected to know it completely in deep, especially your fears. I mean, जिस चीज से डर लगता है naturally you wouldn't have read about it more or thought about it more. It's just that you have fear. So it's okay. You can just have a story around it. They don't expect you to know the bits and pieces of everything. Just understand why you have written. Or for example, if you're mentioning your favorite dish, you should know what goes in that dish, right? I mean, you shouldn't know completely कि कढ़ाई पनीर में पनीर नहीं जाता or something like that. That's a very basic thing that you should know, something like that.
I asked Ishan, what are the spices that go in kadai paneer?
Okay.
That I was able to answer. I did not know
Really?
where paneer first originated.
Oh,
That
okay.
was
That's still fine. I mean, interviews tend to make fun
That was a
because
mock
understand they are
GI.
sitting with like 500 applicants a day.
Yeah, they will not ask you so much, but my point was to tell you that read the form, and all
Mm.
of you please read your forms, all the answers that you have written. ये नहीं कि वहाँ पे तुमने कुछ और ही स्टोरी बता दी और यहाँ पे तुमने कुछ और ही स्टोरी लिखा है. Please don't do that mistake.
At times they're trying
Okay.
to judge how
Few things.
serious you are with the. Sorry, I think Prashant sir is saying something.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll share my experience of GI2. So it happened long back in 2000, somewhere 2016, I think. Yeah. But it's still that is relevant. So I was shortlisted for IIM. So being like software engineer, so IIM was my first choice, and I haven't given any second choice also. So my GI1 was very smooth. So they asked me 2-3 questions, so I cleared that. And then GI2, my like whole group discussion was around why IT companies charge so much for delivering these these projects, right? So if you are coming from IIM background, you should know that what will the profitability percentages and how they mark up their prices, what is the rationale behind that. So there was complete discussion around it. And one of the guy was sitting in from finance background. So that time PNB scam was there. So everyone asked about the views about the PNB scam, I think. And this time, you know, that the whole rumors and like things are happening around different groups in India, right? So please read about it. And they're not going to give you the direct clues. They will be totally indirect, and they will be giving like driving you through that process. And if you can include those examples, that is good. If you don't remember that, that's fine. But what will happen in offline interview, like most of you haven't attended like any offline interviews in the past, or maybe if you are who are just out of college, so they are attending online classes. So there are clear difference how you perform in online mode and offline mode, right? So first thing I'll say, please wear those things which are you are going to wear on the like actual PI day. So you should not be feeling uncomfortable. I know, like Mumbai weather, it's quite humid these days, but if you are traveling from somewhere down like north or down south, you should not be sweating in the room, right? So even GI2s of like so smooth, if few people start sweating. Maybe sometimes you are so nervous, or sometimes it is because of your clothes, right? So if you are sweating, it means that you are not very comfortable with that. So please, like travel one day before. Just like don't go like just last minute you enter in SPJ. And these things are taken very seriously within SPJMR. You are, if you are late for the GI, if you are not well dressed, or if you are not well groomed, please do that. I know that in online you guys are managing these things, but there it will not be. It will be like if they see you that you are like not properly groomed, or your clothes are not good, then it's quite evident, right? So few professors are pretty old there. So finance professors like HOD said that they will be in their 60s. So bear with them. They will be not as fast as you guys. So I have seen like few feedbacks that sir सुन ही नहीं रहे थे वो. So he has some hearing problem. So this is not the hearing problem exactly. This happens with because they have lived like more than 40 years. When he was born, he started his career, or more when your father started working, he started his career that time, right? So treat them in a way. So if they are old people, but they are like very nice person, I'll say. So I have interacted with a lot of SPJMR professors, and they are one of the finest professors in this country, or maybe across globe, few of them. Please bear with them. So ये नहीं करना है कि if they ask you to repeat something you get furious, so don't do that. Bear with them. And offline and online processes are pretty different. You will be judged on everything. Even maybe Santika will also be asked to sit in GI2, right? They are famous for this. In they call in offline interviews, they call like if someone is in campus, they ask like, why Santika, why don't you come and just sit with this? And Santika will be full freedom to ask you anything. Even she will ask you anything or not, that's her choice. But professors will give her freedom. That Santika, why don't you ask some question to this guy, or can
Yeah,
you
some
contribute?
people would be sitting anyway. The admissions committee would be sitting. A few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people will be sitting. So what happens in that case? Maybe that discussion will be going very smooth, or that will be totally superficial conditions created. But if Santika is there, so why they introduce like current student, so that they exactly know that what is happening, or how generations have changed, right? So maybe few guys will be seeing the PNB scam, like I'm quoting my example. So when the professors started their career, so scams were pretty common, right? If you just see the scam history of India, you will find like very few scams happening these days, because we have lot of regulatory bodies, right? But professors will be more, have seen more scams happening in that those eras. So how regulatory bodies have come into picture, So if even if you're not coming from finance background, you should be asked your views on this. So बाद में आके ये मत बोलना कि सर मैं तो marketing के लिए था. They start asking some views on regulatory bodies. Question can bounce on you, right? Or maybe they can ask you the group view, that what exactly you think these regulatory bodies are working. Even Supreme Court asked something, right? This is there in the today's news. Supreme Court asks these, like I think they asked SEBI something, some questions, right? So please be attentive in the interviews. This interview will be feel good interview for sure. But if you are prepared well, and please use your brain, right? There is no right or wrong answer. You are not going to decide in those like 1 hour of discussion that IT companies should not charge this much, right? You're not going to decide on that, but they just want to know that do you really know that what is the profitability percentages of these IT companies, right? That's a simple thing. Or maybe Amol for you, maybe they ask you the how foreign banks are doing in this country, right? So simple thing, very simple things. But जब नया क्वेश्चन आता है ना सामने, तो लोग फंबल करना स्टार्ट करते हैं. थिंक इफ यू आर नॉट श्योर, कभी कभी क्या होता है, वो बोलते हैं अच्छा ठीक है तुम सोच लो, वी विल कम बैक टू यू लेटर, राइट? इवन दिस कैन हैपन. If you say that, sir, I want time to think, okay, you take your time, you gather your thoughts, we'll come back to you. So this college is so adaptive, they will give you a lot of time. They are going to dedicate almost 50 minutes on you in that, like if you are 5 people there or 4 people there, so they will divide equal time for everyone and some group time also. So time will not be the problem. Only problem comes when you close your brain, if you don't hear others, right? So hear them carefully what others are talking. Sometimes clues are there. They especially plot those clues. You just need to figure out how things there, right? So please do all these things. I think most of you are already, like all of you have cleared GI1, so that is fantastic job. So all congratulations for that. So that's itself an achievement, right? So कब किसी को लगता है जिंदगी में कुछ नहीं किया, इंजीनियरिंग कर ली, सब कुछ बर्बाद है, so just paste one thing like I have cleared GI1 or SPIMR, because if you check just like almost I think out of 10 only 3 people convert GI1, right? That is the number. If they call 1,000 people, only 300 will be going into GI2. So 700 is already out, right, from the picture. So you are the top cream of that. Even if you don't clear from now GI2, that is like maybe some person have got 1 marks than more than you, or maybe he or she is more better than you. Not, I'll not say better than you, that he or she got some better day than you, right? So that's all. So please be attentive. So this session was just to give you the experiences that we had, and Amy and Santika, you can add. So this is all from my side.
I think Prashant sir largely said the same thing. Even if he has given his GI a few years back, the crux of the story holds the same. If I were to narrate my incidents, I think I can relate even now, and I'm sure you guys can. This is one of the very few colleges which involves the current students in the academic committee, as Sartika mentioned. So even while we were giving our online interviews, they were there to ease you out. The committee would always be there. Students would largely be involved in the process, and they would know. For a few of the other IIMs, the alumni are involved, but nowhere is the current students involved in the process. So that's a very good thing to be part of it and interactive. Another thing, whoever have their GIs currently, read about Valentine's Day, read about International Women's Day. I think that's in March. I was asked a few questions around it. Just show that you are well read. It's not that if you don't know you will be penalized for that, but you should know. Knowing it is a brownie point. Ideally, if there are 3 people sitting in the same panel, the whole idea is to shine. And these are the places where you have these clues and brownie points that Prashant sir was talking about, and you can just, if you know it, you're just shining out there. So ease yourself. Again, the attire thing that he mentioned. So I remember from my GIs, I had given one offline GI last year, wherein we went, we sat, and the marketing professor, we just sat. And the marketing professor there directly pointed, so other people, there were few people who did not open the buttons of their blazer while sitting. And she directly pointed it out. Hey, guys, it's a good manner to just open buttons of your blazer while sitting. This is a very small gesture somewhere. I mean, you might not even be pointed if you were in some other B school, but learn to get used to wearing suits. For every presentation and placement, I'm sure Santika also agrees. Here we wear them, and it's more like a culture or whatever you want to say. But you do wear it right in and out of your placement. The blazer is always hanging for that matter.
Be very careful when it comes to marketing professors. They're very, very prim and proper, and themselves are very well dressed and I mean, they have this amazing personality, and they look at you top to bottom when it comes to an interview, especially presentation में तो जो होता है, but I'm just talking about interviews. So be very and I'm not saying be well dressed, be proper, be neat and clean, and be well groomed. That's very important. And just to add to what I think Prashant sir has beautifully covered everything. But if you guys have any questions, please, this is the time when you can have all of us together and we can try and answer your questions.
Kevil is also here, so Kevil
Yeah,
can.
Kevin is also here, and he's from BM batch.
Yeah,
So
hi guys.
if you have questions related to BM, because I did not give a BM interview last year, so I think he would be the right person for that.
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, I've heard this thing that SPGNMR gives you calls quite early, right, compared to other B schools, and they also kind of ask you to block your seat if you are interested in it. So, I mean, I guess we need to pay quite a huge amount for that, if I'm not wrong,
So last year it was 50,000, as
to
far as
block a
I
seat.
remember. Yeah, if you get the admission, after you get the offer letter, you're supposed to pay 50,000, and then you're supposed to pay your first year fees. 50,000 is the blocking amount. Am I
Like I think 50,000 is the was the blocking amount for us as well. It's not
yeah,
a huge amount. Like I think 50,000.
every college, okay.
Every college has around like
Yeah.
50 to 75,000. So I
Yeah.
think that is something that you need to be prepared with.
No, no, but like, what if other B school calls?
Yeah, you'll get it back. You'll get it
You'll
back.
get it back. You'll get it back.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it'll take a period of 2 months, I think, but you'll get it back.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
So they deduce about 1,000 rupees and they give all the amount back. It's largely same for all B schools around because SPJMI does the process itself very early. Hence, they ask you. I also paid the same amount, whatever is the amount, but within 2 months' time. So if the question is by the time you have to pay another B school's fee, will you get it back? You usually no, you wouldn't. That would be a fair investment that you would have to make. You will receive it after most of your B schools are over or you would have paid fees, but you do get it back. So don't worry about that. In whatever time frame they do mention, they do give the amount back after reducing, I think, 1,000 rupees is what I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I had one question. So today I got my GI2 date, and it came out to be the same date as CAP, all IIM calls. So I asked my father if I should actually mail SPJN or not. I was not very interested, but he told me to mail anyway. So I mailed them, and I mailed them two dates. Like I mailed them कि I will not be available for IIM Lucknow this date and for CAP this date. So I told him to go for an alternative date. So that won't be an issue, right? Just mailing and informing.
No. But you will get you'll definitely get some reply from them as to the change of date. You'll get proper communication when the admissions committee. Don't worry about that.
Okay. And the second question was, I have been shortlisted for operations, and so in my operations interview, since everyone was from a different specialization. There was one IM, there was one finance, there was one marketing, and me ops. So they generally revolve the question more on thumbs up and all. So it was more of a marketing interview. So मतलब उसके लिए मैं निकल गया. मतलब I in ops I don't know a lot, like I don't know inventory management and all, because it's not applicable in, it's not been we are not involved in that in my company. So is there any chance I have to brush up those skills in GI2 so that they can ask me something on that?
So that's the thing about GI2. Like they won't be asking you anything related to your subject or your specialization. It will be a very ethical dilemma kind of a question, and which will be open to all four of you or all five of you. So it is something that anybody would be able to answer. So like you need to
Okay.
think of it from that point of view. Like for example, let's just say that like one of my GI2s was regarding HUL's Fair and Lovely. Like should they have changed the name to Glow and Lovely and all of that. So if you look at it, it looks like a marketing case, but the thing is that it's not. It's just an ethical case, and anybody who is just aware about the entire case should be able to answer it. So like I think you can be rest assured that you don't need to have domain expertise for that, for answering.
Okay, so a bit of matlab if I go through that DMs a bit, it will help, right? Something like that, thoda, like
Uh,
those strategies.
I don't think you need to think so much.
yeah, yeah, like
It's
uh,
it's just
it'll come to you.
application.
Like it'll come to you.
Yeah.
Like either you get it right or you don't. Like I don't think you need to utra
It's like,
focus. You just need to be aware of that you're taking each and every point of view into consideration. That's it. That's all
yeah.
you can do.
And you should have an opinion, a perspective, and you should back it. That is it. Okay. And as far as your question is concerned about knowing your subject, I think I will answer it. Know what you've done in your work experience and take examples from your life to, kind of give substantiate whatever your perspective is. You can do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that relates to what Prashant sir also mentioned, that keep your brain and ears open for that matter. So at times, even if you don't know, when other people are pitching in and giving their ideas, you can always take clues from that. At times, you can even be asked to pick that, two of your friends are saying this opinion and two of the other people are saying this. What will you pick out of it? So you always have this comeback options that even if you don't know the topic completely, they might come to you later saying that, hey, now you must have understood what we're talking about and you might want to add in something. So just think of it logically that what can be right. For example, in the case that Kevin mentioned about whether they should have changed their name to Glow and Lovely or not, if somebody has mentioned that what was the reason why they changed it, and if, for example, you don't know the reason, and if the discussion comes up where you came to realize that okay, this was the reason, then make an opinion and you can always share it that this was if this was the reason, then I think the name should have been changed or shouldn't have been changed, whatever is your opinion there.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, Shaumadeep and then Shubham. Please go ahead with your questions.
Hi, ma'am. So I have been selected for business management GI2. So can you please tell like what is the scenario for as only the first batch is there? So what is the scenario for summer placements and what kind of roles are there for business management? Like, is it the mixture of all the branches? Like any kind of roles can come? This is the first question, and the second question is any idea like for the BM GI2? Is it again like the same ethical dilemmas will be coming like that?
Okay, I'll take it up. Okay, so first I'll answer your placement scenario question in one line. So first of all, it's not a summer placement; it's an autumn placement, and we are yet to go through our placement process. And the process has been communicated to us, and it will be a unified batch of 300 people, and not there will be no separate placements for the BM and the regular PGDM. So it will be a combined placement process. So there will be absolutely no demarcation happening from the institutes and towards the companies. The companies wouldn't even know that what specialization we are from. So it will just be like BM is another fifth spec. So consider it that way. So that is the placement scenario. And from GI2's point of view, there will be absolutely no different GI2. It will be the exactly the same format as the regular PGDM GI2. Expect the exactly same thing. That's it.
Thanks, thanks. Got it.
Shubham.
Hi, I have two questions. First is like in the GI, if you are not agree with someone's point of view, so how to say that thing? And second is like what is more important, being honest or being ethical? Like there are some situation where you are like stuck between the dilemma in between being honest and being ethical. So how to defend those things?
So I'll take it up, Shubham. So your first question was regarding how to differentiate between being ethical and being honest. It's completely on you. You should know it is again situation dependent, right? But obviously, you have to balance. You have to be ethical first, of course. And if there is no honesty, there is no ethics. In my viewpoint, it is a subset. So I think you should balance that. And your second question was how to, not agree to someone else's point. I think you can be very polite and gracious about it. You can clearly say that I have a different point of view. You can place it. You can back it up with the data or back it up with your reasoning. It's completely okay. You don't have to agree to each other, right? It is not a mandate. That is the whole point of group discussions. So, but be gracious, be polite. Don't say कि नहीं तुम गलत हो. Don't be extreme.
Thank you.
Amar,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Good evening. So actually, in one of my interviews, I faced a stress-based interview. So can we expect a similar thing in SPJMR as well?
It will be anything but a stress-based interview. Like it is the best interview that you will ever give in your life. So you will feel after the interview, ki, oh my god, the panel was so nice. So I've gone through the entire process 3 times, and each and every time I've been like, oh my god, the panel was so nice. They liked me, and they let me speak my heart out. So it will be anything but a stress interview.
It's
That
therapeutic,
is
as I told.
something that you can be sure of.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I think it is one of the best interview process that you would ever give, right? From the students interacting with you during the start, making you feel comfortable in the waiting rooms. Trust me, never happens. Give the other interviews and you'll realize that nobody keeps you updated on, hey, your turn would be next, or all of these. Very hygienic, nice, and feel good kind of interviews. Even if you're rejected, you are like, okay, maybe next time I'll again try. So for sure, a good interview to give. I have my memories of SPJMR interviews, and you'll remember your situations. Trust me, even those ethical situations. I think even if Prashant mentioned, he remembered his as well. So these are the gestures that they bring in, and I think B school should do that. All the other ones as well, that they cultivate these gestures and memories that you remember for lifetime. So for sure, think of it as something that try to be natural as a human. Whenever you will try to fix or fake something, they will understand this. Trust me, there are professors who are 50, 60-year old sitting there. So they'll know. So for the questions where you have these, like I mentioned, if you have this dilemma that, oh my God, friendship comes first and I cannot let it go, just remember that you are in an institution and you know what is right. If a criminal is your friend, the law says he is a criminal, something like that. So remember to think always in throughout your situation, and then make a judgment out of it, and not out of your out of hurry or anything that you have to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Aditya, you can go next.
So I got shortlisted for two specializations, finance and BM. So now there'll be GI2 for both of them separate or common one?
I think you must have received an email that they will have two separate GIs.
No, I
It,
received
No,
that.
no.
it's it's
I think
common.
Sayantika, it's
It's
just
common.
one. It's a common one. So your first preference will be taken into consideration. You are discarded from the second preference.
Okay.
That's after the interview or earlier itself.
Earlier itself, like you'll be appearing for only one GI, which is your first preference. Like if you converted both.
Okay. Thank you.
But what if I want to change my preference now?
Yeah, see.
Unfortunately, you can't.
Okay.
Vakar, you can go next.
Yeah, hi everyone. I have a question regarding the psychometric test and the VAT. Like maybe if you can mention some pointers we need to take care about. I'm not sure if they are going to conduct it this time, but it looks like they will. So
Psychometric test. Is
The
there
mail
a
says VAT is there. Not sure about psychometric.
psychometric test?
Yeah. So like there was a psychometric test in the time when the interview was offline. Like I remember appearing for a psychometric test, but
Now
there is
it's
no way that you can do anything about the psychometric test. So I'm not sure if it is there this year or not.
not there.
But there is nothing you can do about the psychometric test. So don't stress about it. And the good thing about SP's VAT is that this will be very less focus on GK, and they'll have a nice cute VAT. So like I remember my VAT topic was what is the best advice that you have ever received in your life. So
okay, it's
it was like it
abstract.
was a very nice subjective topic. Like you wouldn't as get something very GK specific, like what are your views on the cryptocurrency fall of
Well,
Binance or
not
something.
वैसा नहीं रहता, but they ask about e-commerce a lot. A lot of my friends have got questions on e-commerce. So know कि चल क्या रहा है आसपास.
Yeah, वो तो मतलब
देख
that's
पाओगे
taken.
अभी.
Also,
वरना
largely for VAT and all of these, the worst case, what I have felt is if you don't know anything, like nothing about the topic, remember then the point that you're going to be judged is your thorough approach of how you're writing. So as an now you're giving one pointer for left side, one on right side, nothing like that. Understand what you're trying to say. For an example, e-commerce or something. E-commerce is still a topic you would know something about. But for an example where things like what is the best advice you got or any character or anything, they're ideally wanting a story from you. So give them a nice, good to read story with a nice introduction. Take the flow really well and then conclude it. So a basic writing structure that you can follow anywhere works in all the VATs that I have seen. Whenever you don't know anything about a topic, they are not expecting World Economic Forum numbers from you. Trust me. Just ensure that you are writing it well. You are not bombarding them with thoughts and approaches, even if you have many. Decide on thoughts, prioritize them, and write it well. That should be more than enough.
Okay, great. Thank you.
yeah, Shamati, you had another question.
No.
Okay, your hand was raised. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. So, how advisable is it to give analogies while presenting your answer or while writing a VAT as well for the person?
If they're relevant, then definitely it's good. If they're not relevant, then they're not good.
Yeah. So it's not like, right, I'm deviating from the topic and I'm not giving the exact answer rather than.
Don't keep giving analogies for everything, of course. But yeah, one or two analogies, if they're relevant enough, then it's fine.
I think adding on to what Santika said, drawing insights from your work experience or from your college life or anything is good. But ye na ho ki every answer or the whole answer itself is analogy. That shouldn't happen. It should be part and it should be very crisp. Don't tell long stories there. They are not interested. So
Don't set the context and then
Yeah.
what happened and then what happened. Don't.
follow star approach if
Yeah.
you're not sure what is happening. So that's an approach that I think even Prepzone people would have shared with you. And if not, it's situation, task, action, result. Read through it and all of your answers should be crisp and following this approach if you're confused.
Thank you.
If there's no other question, I think you can reach out to any of us at any given point. We will try and answer as soon as we can. Yeah, Aditya.
Yeah, actually, last year also I cleared GI1 and was there in GI2, rejected after that. So I've read some transcripts for GI2. They asked that, do you know what happens in this round? So should I be honest there that I have attended it last year? That's why I know about it.
Yeah, of course.
Like it's okay, matlab the professor wouldn't hold anything against you.
Okay, thanks.
But
Like
till a
in
point when you're not showing off, right? It's not
Yeah.
showing off the failures
Yeah.
as well. so
Yeah,
that you are not a candidate who should be preferred just because you are appearing second time.
yeah,
Body language is very, very important.
Yes, be humble about
yeah,
it and show a will to be part of their institute. No matter, even if you failed the first time, you are here because you love the institute and you want to study there. I think the learning
yeah.
matters. So wherever you're confused, be humble and see that you're learning, or you are, you're motivated to learn ahead, even if you are fumbling somewhere or making a mistake at any point of time.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So I think we have largely covered all the. Garima has a hand up.
I think she raised.
Oh, sorry, it was by mistake.
Okay. No worries. We have largely covered what all we felt were right, do's and don'ts as well. Let's see if we can schedule one or two mock GI2s. Santika, if you, I think Santika and Kevin maybe will plan that we open few mock
Yeah.
slots day after another. And
Yeah, maybe we
okay.
would just wait for the GI ones, because I think till 14th or 15th we'll still have GI one going on. Maybe after that we can open one or two slots for GI two.
Perfect.
Right.
That helps. So if you guys can just do a thing where you can make a list out of it and create a group or something, and maybe we'll take that up. Do feel free to contact any of us. The summary or the crux of the story remains the same. Be ethical, be nice, be clean. For males, be properly shaved or whatever you're doing. Be well groomed is the whole idea. And yeah, treat yourself and others really well. That's the whole idea, no matter how you interview goes.
And not just in the interview room. I mean, people also observe you when you come out of interview room, how you talk to people, how you carry yourself. So be natural, but also be mindful of what you're doing. So I think that's all from my side.
Yes, I think we'll end the session. Go and have
Yeah,
lunch.
yeah. I have few things to add. So during
Yeah.
my days in 2016, there is one thing used to happen. People used to get those pen drives, right? So it's a sense of achievement they used to give. You have cleared GI2, now take a one pen drive. So we have seen few people become furious. So sometimes admission committee just give you, but sometimes they are like people who was supposed to distribute, he or she went for a lunch, right? So few people become furious that मैंने GI2 clear
Oh,
किया मुझे चाहिए.
there is a gift this year as well.
Yeah. So
Like I know
if
the
you are,
gift, but I wouldn't ruin it.
yeah.
Don't do that, Kevin.
Yeah, I know the gift already. I've seen the gift.
So
Very
please
good.
be
Why are
patient.
you
You
showing
guys,
off?
yeah. Please be patient while if you are waiting for it, because that person who is supposed to give or admission committee taking those small breaks and all. So in that case, don't get furious. Don't like start acting like you need it just now and there. We have seen fights in the past because of that pen drive. So maybe this year they are saying that they're you are going to get gifts. So please bear with them. Wait for that. Maybe you'll get that.
Yeah.
And whatever bias you have, right? So sometimes we have seen like because of your political biases or some affiliations to particular groups in India, few people make their biases, right? So please leave it at your home, or if not at home, at least at the gates of SPJMR if you want to clear GI2. Don't give any biased answer because you are coming from some particular group or you love something, right? So if you are a Modi follower, please leave it at the gate of SPGMR if you want to get entry. So don't, if you hate Modi, that is perfectly fine, but please don't give your answer based on that biases. And GI2 will be mostly like situation based. If you have faced those type of situations, fantastic. You that someone was asking that analogy, right? So you can give those experiences, you can share your experiences. Professors are there to hear you, right? But if you don't have, just don't cook any story because someone else in the GI is giving it, right? So don't just say that, yeah, I have done this, I have done that, blah blah blah.
Don't fake anything. You will be caught very soon, because interview you don't know that GI will go till 1 hour or 1.5 hours, right? So later that thing come and then you'll be caught, right? So don't fake anything. Don't get driven because someone else is going fantastic answers. Like, so in my GI, the lady directly landed from New York, right? So she was working for Deloitte and she was placed located in New York or somewhere, right? Miami. She was coming from Miami, right? So now you can imagine the like the level of answers and the level of questions she was asked in that GI. So people get driven by such situations. I know people coming from IIT Bombay, working for some like huge product-based companies, maybe sitting in those interviews. So they will get their seats, you will get your seat, right? There are 60 seats per specialization, right? So don't fear for those people. In every B school, right? I'm Ahmedabad, any B school you go, you get such profiles, right? So please don't fear those people. So I have seen लोग आके बोलते हैं सर 5 के 5 जो 4 लोग और थे वो एकदम हाई प्रोफाइल थे, मेरा तो हो ही नहीं सकता. So don't do that. If you are like capable enough, you are going to clear. उनके सिलेक्शन से तुम्हारा रिजेक्शन नहीं होगा. They are not going to eat in your pie, right? It's your own pie, you eat yourself, otherwise someone else will take it. So because of that type of situations, please don't like fumble or you stop giving your answers whatever you have prepared. Sometimes people even don't give those answers. So please remember this. Profile wise किसी को judge मत करना, right? People judge based on profiles. So go with open minds. If you are like using your brain and if you are open for ideas, open for conversation, yes, SPGMR is the place for you. If you are not that open in your life, then sorry, you are not going to get that seat. So this is something closing line I have. So all the best for your GIs, and if possible, Santika and Amy can take those GI too. I don't have that bandwidth. Otherwise, I would have taken few GIs, but I'm taking mock PI. So if you have calls, please inform the person who is taking your GI. Please inform that I have a GI to call. So maybe 5-10 minutes discussion he or she can have on the situation based questions also. So that you can do in the mock PIs also. Okay, this is all from my side.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, guys, thank you. And as Prasant sir mentioned, we'll try to open GI2s maybe next to next week, alternatively, or something that we mentors can sort out and then inform you guys. I think Yash has a question. He raised hand.
I think it's by mistake.
Okay, no worries. Okay, then, guys, feel free to reach us out in case you have any doubt, query. You have your Discord group as well. So ping us there and maybe we can answer those queries there as well. For the ethical part, I would suggest if you have there, put it on the group so that everybody else can pitch in. It's largely about what group thinks and how you work around it. So yes, all the best and bye bye, guys. Good night.
Bye guys. Good night.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.